Awesome. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We have another episode of Mission Briefing. I am particularly excited about this one. I won't get into too much detail, only that I've never used GitHub Actions, so I am very excited to have Brian Douglas here with me to help me figure out exactly how to use them. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for the invite too as well. Big fan of Apollo and been using it, I guess, for quite some time. But yeah, I don't know. Do I jump in and give myself an intro
Yeah,
as well?
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah. Give yourself the old intro.
cool. Yeah, I feel like I've been here before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Brian Douglas and I work on BWO on Twitch. I'll drop my handle down in the chat. Actually, I'll just say hi
There
in
you
the
go.
chat,
Yeah.
so you know who I am. And yeah, I work at GitHub as a developer advocate, focused on lots of stuff, mainly open source. I engage with like a lot of open source maintainers and projects, and then I talk a lot about GitHub Actions too as well.
Yeah.
And this sort of been chugging along since the thing got shipped about a year and a half, actually 2 years ago at this point.
Seems a while. Yeah, I feel very behind on this one because it's such a useful tool, and I feel like I should have already at least experimented with it. So yeah, just a quick recap. What we're going to be looking at today is we're going to look at what it takes to kind of get schema changes into Apollo Studio. And so what that means is Apollo Studio is very useful for managing your schema as schemas grow and your graph starts to get bigger and more complicated and more people are working with it. It can be very quick to lose sight essentially of what's going on. It can get a bit harder to explore. And so actually, and then also just talking about performance and metrics and how your graph is doing in production and stuff like that. All of these things become concerns once you want to have a production GraphQL API, especially one that is public facing. So yeah, so the goal today is to get CI/CD set up so that when there are changes made to a GraphQL schema, we can push them into Apollo Studio and look at that. Check out the change log, work around in the Explorer, and kind of see what's going on in there. So it's a very pretty cool process. I'm very excited about trying this out. Believe it or not, yes, I am a developer advocate, but I am also pretty new to Apollo Studio myself, even though I'm a dev advocate for Apollo. So I love doing these kind of streams because you're going to get to learn along with me as I kind of stumble through and figure this stuff out. And yeah, hopefully I can at least answer some questions that y'all have. But yeah, this should be a really fun learning experience.
I'm curious, were you a Apollo user before you joined?
Yes, so I use Apollo, and I actually use Apollo. I've used Apollo Studio, but back back in the day when I was at Major League Soccer, it was actually Engine. This was before it was Studio, and they've added just like some new features. I'm very familiar with the side around monitoring and like API performance. But the stuff around like the Explorer, which is just a new feature, which is basically like graphical, but with a lot of extras, a lot of really cool stuff. And then also with
Yeah.
like schema management, this side of it is new to me. So that's why I'm very excited about this because it's something that I've been wanting to get into a lot more. I understand the benefits of it, but I haven't ever, again, just had like a chance or a use case where I wanted to kind of like push this and get a CI/CD flow set up for myself. But now I have one. I have a good use case, and I think that this would be a lot of fun. It's a twofer. Get to learn a little bit about schema management and some GitHub Actions. It's pretty sweet.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wanted to real quick to say, hey, what's up to Lede? He actually shows up in my streams as well. I'm not sure if he's a regular here
Nice,
for the
Lede.
Apollo mission briefing.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Very
very cool.
cool. Yeah, yeah, we love it. We love having y'all here. Thank you for joining us. And a quick shout out to Amberly for the follow. I noticed that you slipped that in there before we went live, but it's still showing up for me, so I got to give the shout out. We appreciate it. Yeah, and so I guess without further ado, I think what I'll do is I'll flip the screen over. We'll take a look at Apollo Studio, and I'll kind of go through what I'm talking about this schema management stuff, and then hopefully that'll solidify it for some folks. And then from there, we can look at setting up the CI/CD pipeline. So let me go ahead and flip us over. Shaboom. There we go. All right, so we are now everyone should be able to see my desktop as well. I'm gonna blow this up just a little bit so we got it's a little easier for folks to see. So I have a GitHub repository. So let me actually go to GitHub. I love starting from GitHub because everything basically should and
Me
does
too.
start from GitHub.
Big fan of GitHub.
Yeah, I would never have guessed. So there's two repos here that I have. One is like this Apollo GraphQL stream scenes, which actually the scenes that you all are seeing are mostly a React and GraphQL app. The only thing that is OBS specific within this layout is the desktop and our audio and video. But the title, how many people are viewing, the chats, follow, animations, all that stuff is powered from React and GraphQL. Naturally, I copied some of that over to my own stream because I thought it was really cool, and why not if I've already done the bulk of the work. So this is essentially a more slimmed down version of the Apollo setup. And really what I'm using this for right now is to power chat. I've been using Twitch Studio, which is like their new streaming platform for streaming directly to Twitch for my personal stream. And it's been awesome. But one of the types of like sources that they don't have yet is chat. So I was kind of on my own to figure that out. So I said, why not just use what I've already created? Yeah. Yeah, use GraphQL. Same thing. Yeah, all questions are valid, first of all, right? Yeah, so absolutely. But I'm trying to decipher the question. Oh, there is no question yet. Is that what I'm getting out of there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I think he was just mentioning the fact that he's unfamiliar with CI/CD and GraphQL.
Got it.
Which is a perfect time to be in the stream because,
Perfect.
like, I think we both provide different expertise in both of those areas.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so what I have here is a very small server. So I'm just going to dig in here. And we really won't need, I think, too much like VS Code for this at all. So what I have is a schema. I've got this schema here. It has just one query, hello, just to make sure everything is working. But we do have some types. We have a channel, we have a stream, and this stuff is just kind of left over from Apollo. To be honest, going through and removing some of these types is how I plan to test our CI/CD kind of flow. So it should be really cool. There's no such thing as stupid questions, first of all, because if that were true, everything I'd say would be deemed stupid. So I have to tell myself, no stupid questions. Ugh. Can you give me an explanation, a practical guide on how to use CI/CD? All right. I think as far as, here's my one rule.
Yeah, I think you explained a good one though.
I did?
Yeah, around the schema validation.
Yeah.
So I think most people will assume CI/CD with running your test.
Yes.
So if you wrote some JavaScript test or some Ruby or Python test to make sure that the unit of your code works, but like just actually checking to see if the schema that you're providing actually is not broken and can actually compile and be transferred into like the Apollo Studio.
Yep.
That sounds like a good first step into checking out CI and hopefully CD too as well.
Yeah, exactly. That is better said. And then when we get to the second half of that, which is like on how to do CI/CD, my go-to rule for programming is go with the simplest solution that works, right? And I don't know. I live by that. It's easier to make things complex. It's a lot harder to make things less complex. So I like to I like to stick with the situation and solution that's the most simple and cohesive. And in this case, my repository is the source of truth for my code and my schema, and so it only makes sense to use GitHub Actions where my code is going to live. And what I've chosen to use is like kind of the representation of this code and the repository and where I want to store it and work with it as the source for CI/CD, right? And GitHub Actions lets you do complete CI and CD workflows, if my understanding is correct. I mean, I'm pretty new to it, but from everything I've seen, you could do some wild stuff with it. Pretty much anything you could do with any other CI/CD pipeline. And so, yeah, to me, it makes the most sense to use Actions because it integrates very well with GitHub. I love the fact that I can do my checks and stuff like that, with very easily. And so, yeah, it's just seems like the right fit.
For sure.
Yeah.
So if I understand this correctly, though, this is a schema that you borrowed from the Apollo stream overlay?
Yes, and I only use part of this. The part that I actually use for my own is I do use this subscription, this chat message. So I've built my own chat widget, and I do actually use that part. I don't use raid message. That is not used currently. Stream is not used currently. So this is the queries, the types that are powering things like where you see the title for the show right now, where it says pushing schemas to Apollo Studio and all that stuff. So this is legacy. So what I did essentially was just like clone the repo over and then just start deleting things. I got rid of a lot of the extraneous code, like the Apollo specific scenes. But what I never got around to was cleaning up the schema. So it just has these unused types in it, and I don't like it. I love deleting code, so I thought that would be a great use case for today.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of deleting code too as well, especially when there's tests and things to catch.
And that's the key.
If I do something wrong.
Yeah, and that's the key. I want to know if what I'm deleting should be deleted, and maybe other people want to see what's being deleted or possibly removed. And so I think the goal of today is to figure out, get the CI/CD pipeline set up within GitHub using GitHub Actions. And so I already have this schema. So I'm in Apollo Studio, and I'm on my organization, the worst dev. And you can have multiple schemas. So I could, if I click out to here, it's going to have my graphs. I can manage as many graphs within this org as I want to. And for a second, I'm going to take a look at a more fleshed out system. Oh, number one, it's fun. You can actually drop the GitHub schema in here. So we can actually, because it supports introspection, I can see the changelog for GitHub API.
Oh, nice. What is powering this?
Introspection.
Is this specifically for the... Oh, nice.
Yeah, so all you have to do is point it at, because you can do, so it supports maintaining graphs from a couple different ways. You can do introspection. If you have an open introspection, you can use a local file. Those are the most two common ways to do it. But yeah, like basically anywhere where you can get your hands on a schema or a introspection query, you can work with the graph. So like some people like to actually spin up dumb handle. Thank you for the follow. Some people like to, it's hilarious, right? Spin up and test APIs like GraphQL APIs and REST APIs in their CI/CD flow, like in a container, and they'll run end-to-end tests against it. You could actually introspect a query or an API that's running within a CI/CD step, essentially, and then like make updates to it here. So it's really interesting. So what I'm going to do though is I just want to go back out of here and just kind of take a quick look at what is in Apollo Studio and why we would care about this. So when I talk about the schema, this is the main thing I'm talking about here, is this changelog. It's very nice to see what's been added, used, and removed. Right? So like if a field gets deprecated, we can take a look at this. And so I'll be able to use this as we push these changes to look and see what's happening to the graph. Some of the other cool things is like at the field level, I can take a look at each individual type of query and requests in the last days. This has had, 340,000 requests in the last day. You can get deep into operations, so we can look at our performance, our request rates, our P95 service times, P99 service time, error percentage. And so this is into this is what I'm used to, the more standard side of this, the GraphQL API monitoring. It's really nice. And it's nice to be able to just kind of have all of this information available to you, and it's pretty nice. Like everything is linked up, so you can see your requests. Why am I struggling with request today? Requests.
Words are hard.
They really are. Rate over time. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist. And the other
is that all?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Kurt. I was going to ask: is all this given to you by default, just from creating a Apollo account and setting up your first sort of schema?
Yeah. So there's two parts to this. There's the schema management, right? And that part is based on you actually taking a schema or introspection stuff and putting into Apollo Studio. The second half is if you're using Apollo Server or a GraphQL Server implementation that supports Apollo style tracing, that's where all of this gets unleashed. But yes, it's actually as simple as, let me go back to my org. If I hit new graph, we'll just say example, and I'll go next. Oh, that name exists. Example, MB for mission briefing.
More creative.
GH, yeah, so there we go, graph name. So if I'm running Apollo Server, I can just set two settings here under engine, report, which they just added, report schema. So if I wanted to just have this automatically happen at deploy, I could do that, right? And then we wouldn't even need the CI/CD. But you can also just turn on tracing or off. So tracing is on by default. It will just report as long as you add your service key. That's really the only thing that matters. So it knows where to put the data. It'll send the data. But yeah, you just get it, just kind of hanging out there. But yeah, cool. Yeah, it's very cool. And yeah, so like, in theory, if I wanted to, I could just have it report the schema after it's running, but I don't really like that because the end goal eventually, right now, the goal is just to push it, but the end goal would be to do checks, kind of like what Ian Sutherland did. Quick shout out to Ian. Let's crack that open real quick. He has created a GitHub action, which we'll take a look at in a little bit once we get through the flow, of doing a validation check. So here he's checking with the Apollo CLI against pull requests. So going a step further, talking about what you're talking about, which is like preventing things that are broken from getting into Apollo Studio, or releasing a GraphQL API that has a broken schema, or is removing something that people are reliant on. These are things that you can check, because if Studio notices that an endpoint or a leaf node is getting a lot of requests and you remove that, it will let you know and warn you, like, hey, you're removing something that people use. So it's very cool.
Yeah, that's so. I don't know how many people caught that, but GitHub is using GraphQL under the hood too as well to power not only GitHub.com but also the GitHub API. So like if you want to build on top of GitHub, or even leverage Actions. So what's really cool is that like that sort of be able to find out what endpoints are, not even endpoints, what queries are being used. I got to use my terminology correctly.
Yeah, right.
But what queries are being used. Last summer, we actually have, so we have this tool in Slack, which is called Graphql Doctor. And there's an implementation that's out there that's not built by GitHub, but it's basically the same thing. Yeah. Marc-Andre Zero, he actually gave a talk about it, and then someone built it, even though ours is not open source. But you're able to ask the GraphQL Doctor in Slack, like, if I remove, profile handles, like, that'd be silly, but if we moved handles from the query, we can see how many times that was hit in the last week or day and stuff like that. And it's very similar. We were making this up as Apollo was actually developing this in their product too as well, which was pretty cool. But also, it's nice to see the evolution of the GraphQL community kind of growing up together. Because this was like a year ago, the last GraphQL Summit, when we were all discovering how to do this. Exactly.
And I think, as we see more and more large graphs start to enter the world, and especially the public domain, it still could be hard internally to manage or know what you will affect, right? Especially in an organization the size of GitHub. But once you open a graph to the public, I mean, now it's just like you have no idea unless you're monitoring and checking to see what people are actually using. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the goal is to prevent things from breaking. But I think for today, we really just want to make sure that our schema is getting into there. We're getting a nice change log. I can go through and see things that are being removed and updated. So I figured that was kind of like, a good example, like a good introduction to this. And I've already got this repo. So like, I feel like at this point I am kind of at the whims of you, and like, what do I do how do I even use a GitHub action? How do I start?
Yeah. So I'm curious, this repo, is this JavaScript?
It is.
Yeah, it looks like it's 97% JavaScript, so I answered my
As
question.
usual for
Uh,
me anyway.
and yeah, and so yeah, there's no test already here.
Nope.
It doesn't look like.
No test. No.
So I'm curious to ask about how because I don't know much about I'll call it the schema here
Uh-huh.
and how to validate it. And like for Ian, and Ian's in the chat too, so thanks for stopping by, Ian, too, as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious of how you would use a CLI, or what are the steps to validate it just regardless?
Yeah.
So are there like tools and plugins already?
Yes, there are. So if the goal here was like yeah, and this is, I don't think I made this clear. So there's really two different steps. Like you can use the Apollo CLI to compare one version of a graph to another, right? To determine
Gotcha.
what's changed and essentially if you'll break something. But what I'm actually referring to here is just taking a schema and just pushing it into Studio. We're not actually doing any checks to start. I was thinking we would just get like, if I
Gotcha.
push to master, it just is gonna run my GitHub action. Or I don't have master, I have no regrets. That's my main branch. But like, if I push to no regrets and I put that into Apollo Studio, I'll still get my change log. So step one is just having those changes reflected for me in Apollo Studio so that I can track them over time. And then if we get there, like a step two would be to like look at what Ian has, which he already has an action. So it might just be, I could just use his, would be like, yes, because the less code,
so
the better.
If it's the push step,
Yeah.
If it's the push step that we want to get into Studio, Apollo has a CLI that we could probably leverage as part of the action.
Yep.
So I think if you go to the Actions tab, if you scroll up.
Okay. Oh, there's I use GitHub every day. I'm so embarrassed.
I just installed this right before we started, added that new tab.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I know. I figured. All right. So yeah, so we've got actions. Cool. And this is awesome. Oh wow.
And
suggested workflows.
Yeah. So here it's basically using heuristics to basically figure out. Well, not even heuristics, because we already know this is a JavaScript project because it's 97%. If anybody missed it, it was on the sidebar. Yeah. It tells you how much language of
I'm just gonna go back
what flavor you have,
quick so that people can see. So that's that right here.
Yeah. So it's just gonna grab whatever the most popular one is. I think if you had like shell scripts, it would just give you like a blank action file.
Oh, cool.
And I think there used to be a link to create a blank file, a blank repo, which I can also check on my end too as well. It might not be there anymore.
Okay, so blank one is, sorry, I was just answering a question in chat real quick.
Oh, no worries.
Continuous integration workflows. I do love seeing this. Rust, that's awesome. I've been getting into Rust. Laravel, wow, I haven't used Laravel in a while. Manual workflow.
Yeah.
No,
that is no. So that's a different thing. If we wanted to test, we could actually do a manual trigger to make that work. It's actually all the way at the top.
Oh, oops, I went too far.
So just set up a workflow yourself. So you can skip all this because we don't have. It doesn't look like we have any node tests, so we won't benefit from having like a Node.js CI. But this is basically going to give us a bunch of boilerplate to set up our action our YAML file. So we have a main.yaml, and that's what this is. And it's going to basically run on push and pull request. So whenever you push to the no regrets branch or open a PR, it will run this action.
So I think for oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I said run this action, and I always mess this up, and it's very confusing. It's actually going to run this workflow. Yeah. Actions are basically the Legos that make workflows.
Got it.
So you can have multiple actions in this one file. So yeah, I wanted to just
that makes a lot of
clarification.
Sense. Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. So you could have actions for like well, I'm looking at one here like cache. Like you could cache artifacts, so you don't have to go through rebuilding them on each like push to a pull request and things like that.
Yep.
Okay, and that's awesome. So then you could just take multiple actions and put them together, and there's, I imagine, a gazillion like already GitHub prepared and community actions. So like, can you just reference other people's actions as well? Is that like a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, so line 23 is the only action you have right now, which is actions. So actually, well, you technically have a second action, which is Hello World, which we can actually see this run.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Okay, it's been a while since I looked at this new workflow boilerplate. They actually threw a bunch of other stuff in there.
But I see it. Yeah.
I have not set it up this way in a while.
So
but if you went to github.com/actions/checkout, that's an actual repo.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, I see. And so you're just referencing repos. It will go, and then it's going to know to look under the like GitHub workflows, I guess, and then like pull in those whatever's inside of that prepared action. Is that pretty?
Yeah, and that is how it works. So back, and actually it runs this action.yaml. So if you have the action.yaml, that usually is enough to get your arbitrary code to run. And with actions checkout, it basically what this does, it checks out your main branch, and then it runs it then proceeds to the next step. If you had a script and you want to make sure that the main branch still works, like think in regards to like a pull request, like it wants to make sure that the main branch, so no regrets is your main branch, that actually works there, and then it'll proceed to the next steps.
That's cool.
So when I first joined GitHub, and I guess I'm not sure how much of the story is out in public, but I joined GitHub, did my own thing, and I worked a lot in GitHub apps.
Yeah.
And then they started shipping this feature that was like kind of hush-hush, secret, probably the summer, right before the Microsoft announcement. So if you want to correlate that together, feel free. But we had this broad vision of being able to write arbitrary code inside of GitHub, and that to do something. And that's what Actions ended up becoming.
Awesome.
Actions is it's a broader sort of project that we are sort of developing at GitHub to do things like run arbitrary code. Code Spaces is part of that, the sort of roadmap as well. So if you aren't familiar with Code Spaces, it's the way to run VS Code inside the browser on top of a VM.
Nice.
And like right now you're streaming and you're using GitHub. So imagine like being able to run VS Code but not have to worry about your another core.
Actually, I just saw
or
this.
Another.
Where did I see? I mean, this is kind of what this is, right? Or no, it's like the whole workspace. Like you can, like a complete editor, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, if you go to github.com/features/codespaces, you'll get you'll get the marketing speak. There.
All the buzzwords. Give me them all. Fire hose. I just drink from it. This is cool. And so
so basically, you can basically just edit your code, open in a code space. It runs in a container, or actually a VM technically, and then this off to the races.
Wow, I am definitely requesting early access later because that looks awesome.
Oh yeah, you should definitely request early access, and I can talk to my people. And see about getting you in.
All right, look at that. Awesome. All jokes aside, though, like for like repositories like this one, especially, like I don't want to use VS Code and deal with having it local and all of that stuff. Again, for me, I'm a big fan of simple over anything else. So the least amount of steps that it takes me to do something, I am all about it. Like lazy as I can get with it, outside of not having to do it at all. But I mean, one day my brain will just, directly to the computer. All right, so I'm up to speed. I get this. So now we can either use a repository, or we can name a step and then run some kind of arbitrary command. And here I'm seeing that we're just basically running shell scripts to echo hello world, and then echo some multi-line scripts. Like if basically I wanted to embed a bash script without actually having it exist in a file somewhere, I can just plug it right here into the YAML. Does that sound reasonable?
That's pretty much it. Like,
I love it.
So like on line 32, you could actually technically run the Apollo CLI right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It would be.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so you could. You'd have to basically, because by default, I think the Ubuntu image, so line 18, it's going to give you a VM, which is going to leverage Ubuntu.
Yeah, we need Node.
That by default, so Node's actually already the image actually being leveraged inside of that VM
Uh-huh.
already has Node. So you could technically npm install -g Apollo CLI.
I'm gonna do one better.
Or actually, don't even do that. NPX.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can
I'm gonna
NPX
NPX it. So I actually have the command. So let me go grab it real quick. But wait, I need to bring up my notes and I need to take out this. I gotta get this key out of here.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean,
we can trust everybody on Twitch. We can trust.
Yeah.
So.
It's a safe space, right? But all jokes aside, what I do is like
Yeah.
after the stream, that whole graph is going away and like that key becomes useless. So you'd have to have your fun right now. All right, so let me put a placeholder in here just so I remember where that goes, though. And then, all right, so I'm going to grab this command. And this is why, people sleep on NPX, but it is so useful. And this is an exact use case of where it's super useful. So I've got like, I can run cannot read implicit mapping, : is missing.
Yeah, so because YAML,
yeah,
you got to space it. Yeah, you got to space it.
So it has to be here, right?
Which I haven't seen any actions that validate YAML.
Yeah.
But that would be a great action.
Ooh.
I'm sure they exist.
I'm sure. Has to by now. Will this work? Is that correct? Should work.
Yeah, so this will mostly work. I think the only question mark is the key.
Yes.
And how you want to pass that in. There's an easy way to do this.
You had me at
so
easy.
I think if you just type in the word secrets before key, so secrets.key.
Okay.
And then I think you'll need a $sign in front of the curly brace. The first curly brace.
There we go.
You could either do it this way, or you could just do dot. Actually, just do it this way. Bash is not as picky in the versions of how you want to do this. But yeah, go ahead and commit that like as is.
Okay.
It will fail because we don't have that key
set.
Actually, don't even commit it. Actually, just create a new tab and then go to settings.
Okay.
We can add that key. You'll want to do this off screen, but I'll show you where to do this.
Yeah, for sure. So
on the left side, you have secrets.
Secrets. Ooh, don't click on this. Should I not click on this? It's not gonna like show anything.
You can click on it. It won't show anything.
Okay.
It's just gonna give you a field to copy and paste the secret.
Got it.
New secret.
Got it. And then I'll take it off.
And then once you want to copy and paste that, yeah.
And I just called it key. So
but just name it.
I'm gonna change it to like Apollo Studio key or something, right? Like key is like.
I think description. Yeah. Make it a little more descriptive than key.
All right, so we'll do that, and then I'll take it off screen real quick. Boom, boom. And then copy my key here, and then jump in, add secret. Cool, and so now it's not showing it anymore, so I'll bring this back so everyone can see what it did. So we've got that back on. So you can see now I have this Apollo Studio key. So now we can go back to, not code spaces. Goodbye, hello. Cool. And now I could change this to, that's so easy. I was wondering how that works.
Yeah, and it's pretty nice because you do some pretty clever things with having the secrets not embeddable.
Yeah.
And part of the reason, and I think the biggest point of contention around secrets is because we give access to this is that forks, they don't work the same way you would think they would work because of secrets.
Right.
By default, a lot of actions won't work because it won't give you access to secrets if you're not part of the org.
Yeah.
So those are things to think of. We do have some changes in how we are orchestrating that and how to pull secrets to be an organization level.
Yeah.
I say this out loud, but I have no idea if we've shipped that publicly yet or not. But to be quite honest, it's actually in the roadmap. If you went to github.com/GitHub/roadmap, it's actually in the roadmap. I just don't know when the actual ship day is.
Got it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it makes sense. Secrets, environment variables, those are always the hardest part to figure out. It's tough, especially when, but I imagine so if I use an action, actually we'll probably try Ian's action out here if we end up with the time, it's going to request secrets, but as long as I create those under my secrets for that repository, it should work. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Got it.
No, yeah, that's exactly how it's going to work. And that would be cool. You can go ahead and commit
Okay.
this, but what's cool is that you can actually, the way this is running, it's synchronous steps. So if your action checkout v2, which is the version 2, that's actually a tag, which we should use EMs because we can actually talk about how actions are being pulled from the repo, either by branch or commits or tags.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen here is that this will run. If the checkout passes, it will then run hello world. If that passes, which hopefully it will, you'll be surprised if it's the wrong environment. Maybe like if this is a Windows environment, that I don't think that would work.
It's a good litmus check.
Actually, it probably does.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Yeah, and then the next one will run.
So just go ahead and commit it, right? I'm a right to no regrets because that's how we roll. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta hit commit. Yeah.
And it's off.
Yeah, we'll see what it works.
Okay, so how can I check if this is
so
working?
if you go to so just proceed to the Actions tab. This will have your logs. You already see CI right there. We didn't actually point this out, but your CI is named CI.
Oh, I saw that at the top.
The main.yaml.
It said name. I missed that.
Yeah, it's actually named CI.
Okay. So
it looks like it has not run.
Yeah. Well, nothing has been pushed. Maybe because now something needs to be pushed.
But so technically you pushed when you committed to the branch. Or did you create a PR?
I didn't create a PR. I did commit.
Oh no, you did it directly.
Yeah, I did it directly.
So maybe hit a refresh real quick. Maybe you got a race condition and you beat the race.
Yeah.
No, that's actually not the case.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, you know what it is? If you go back to GitHub/workflows, no, actually that's not it. Well, I guess we can do one more push.
Yeah.
I don't think they changed this on me, but yeah.
Because I didn't.
So there are some cases where. Or sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting because would it know, even though it hasn't been committed yet, that when it commits itself, that it should run? Like, it's like a chicken and egg, right?
It basically, it actually commits when it commits itself, it will run itself.
Wow.
Which is a thing that I was expecting.
Yeah.
Unless I'm actually checking the change log to see if there was a change that I was not aware of.
Yeah, or
which is quite possible.
I could have broke it because I'm pretty good at breaking things. Oh, here it is. And it failed.
I'm not sure where it disappeared to.
Yeah, maybe it's just like took a second to. Oh, interesting. And then that's weird. So workflow CI is not showing up, but it is showing up under all workflows.
But it's in all workflows. Oh, because it says it's unnamed, which is fascinating, but we can figure that out.
Okay.
But definitely let's check out the failure. So the way it's just right there. Unexpected error. It seems like something to do.
Please include this
Please use a unique ID.
Oh, that's if I want to contact
that's for
support.
The
request. So workflow file. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so this is weird because it can't find the file.
No, and I think there's a little bit of confusion because
on the naming.
I'll definitely be logging this later with the team.
Yeah, no worries.
So like what we're seeing right now, this is definitely not on your error, not user error, but it's not finding the file name. It doesn't know. Basically, it's crossed its wires.
Yeah, it doesn't know what to run.
So I think what we'll do is probably go back to the file, change the name of the YAML file and the name of the CI and recommit it.
Okay.
Because I think it's kind of not quite understanding what's going on right now.
Got it. So I'm gonna.
Which is literally the first time I've ever seen that before. So live on the air.
Just go ahead and edit it, and we'll change this to push schema. Is that cool? I can just name it whatever I want.
Yeah.
And then
the other thing is down in the jobs, the build is that should be fine. I'm just checking to see if there's any
like
other
random
naming
names. Things. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that would be.
So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove pull request because I don't want it to push on pull requests right now. I really only want it to push if it's merged, right? So I can remove this. I feel like that's safe, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and Lumar X, they mentioned that this only happens when you're
Absolutely.
doing things publicly.
Absolutely. That's always.
The only time when these errors
Yeah,
happen.
for sure. Okay. So we've got, actually, I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to make it schema push because I don't know why, but it sounds better than push schema to me.
No, I think that sounds perfect too as well.
Okay.
It also sounds like a cool, early 2000s hip hop
Yeah.
album too as well.
Nice.
I'm thinking Kick Push.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah.
That's actually an awesome song. I haven't heard that in a while. Okay. So, all right. So we're good. We got schema push. I'm going to commit it. Oh, wait. Did you want me to change main? I don't remember. Was that?
Yeah. Let's change it to something more descriptive too. In the event that you do have more than one workflow, because you can have multiple workflows. You can actually run 22 jobs up at a time.
Holy crap.
As well within a repo. So this repo has one job, which is build.
Yeah.
You can have multiple jobs. This workflow file has multiple, only one job. You can have up to 22 in this file, or you can have 11 in here and 11 in another file. And the caveat is they can only run at the same time, 22 at the same time.
Got it.
So if you have 40 within your entire repo, only the first 22 will run, and then the next 22 will run. So they will be synchronous.
This is interesting.
You get more jobs if you are a pro member. So I think if you're up to pro, it might be up to 40. I don't pay for GitHub, so I never pay attention to
like what those
how much whatever the levels are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also not a pro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's funny. I have like the free plan of Apollo Studio too. It's like, do you want the paid one? I'm like, no, this is what I don't need it. Just give me the free stuff. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna commit this. We'll see what happens this time. So we're gonna update and readme. I like it. I like your commit message. Thank you, GitHub. All right. Commit. Boom. And we're off.
Yeah. So we'll see if we just kicking it with the commit, seeing if that will change things. If
it
not,
is. It's already running.
I am fascinated. Okay.
Well, it's queued.
Yeah, and it's running on schema push too as well. So I'm completely fascinated on what happens with the default main.yaml, but it seems to be working now. I will probably be testing this out myself and trying to figure out what happened there, but for now we can just move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So this is neat. And so like it's telling me in progress. I can no artifacts because there's nothing to generate here, but it's going through. So like what happens if I click on this? Very cool.
Yeah, so you can see your hello world is already completed.
Everything is.
Surprise, surprise.
Everything is completed. Here, look, and so here it is. It has pushed my graph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
yeah, because the CLI exists, it's pretty trivial.
That was
to get this up and running.
So trivial. So what I want to do now is like, of course, if I come here, oops, I forgot this was here. I'll delete that graph later. I could just delete it now. But yeah, so if I go to stream helpers, what we're going to see though, we'll see that it was pushed, but there's no changed log. Like, so nothing has changed, right? So this has nothing to show me. But if I check history, if I go here or not, it's not going to do anything. Oh, I think maybe I'm on the free. Oh, there we go. I was going to say maybe because I'm on the free plan. Yeah, to check for breaking changes. So the other thing too, which is really neat. So here's a commit. No additions, no subtractions, and nothing like modified. So it's done. I can also get notifications of my changes. So if I wanted to, I can connect this to Slack, and like eventually it'll just be like webhook based. You can connect to anything. But if other people are making changes, and I think eventually you'll be able to just sign on to part of the graph, so only the part you care about, which would be awesome. But yeah, so like I can get
notifications to just one corner.
Yeah.
That's nice. Like the idea of code owners.
Yes.
Is something that we have a feature of at GitHub. So I own this entire folder of files.
Exactly.
It's pretty awesome.
Exactly. And that's essentially because that's really, even in a single graph, that's how most of the times in a large graph it operates. People own particular parts of the graph, right? And they're responsible for that type. So it is kind of a bit of a fire hose to get all the notifications, but it'd be nice to be able to filter that down. cool thing is we've got this. So now I'm going to go and actually work on the graph. Let's clean up the schema and we'll do some pushing and we'll see what if we get our changes. This is so cool. Way easier and less scary and like intense than I thought it was going to be. Like GitHub Actions is a breeze. Like that is amazing. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, and the beauty of this too as well, like another shout out to Ian and his action, but the fact that he's able to take what he's already solved and share that publicly in open source. It's amazing. Like you're able to also just skip that whole step.
Yeah.
Very similar to like what Apollo is doing with basically generating schemas and managing it. Like I don't want to do all that by hand and check line by line. Like that should be something that a tool should give me. And yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna dive into nice, Lamore. Yeah, use GitHub Actions. They are amazing. I'm literally blown away. Like I can't picture why I would use anything else. So let's go in here and I'm just gonna remove one type. So we're not using channel right now. So I'm just gonna remove that. But this is actually what powers like I was saying, it powers this layout. So like, I can see how many current viewers there are, what's the current stream on the channel, get the title and the category of everything that's going on, but we don't need this. But it actually does, it references stream, so that's fine. So I can remove, I can remove channel and that's it. So I'm going to do that. And then I'll get rid of raid message as well. And subscription message. So I don't really need those either. I'll leave stream for now, even though I don't need it because I want to make like a second change. So this is done. So let me go commit this. Update schema. Let's make this more. Remove channel, sub, and raid types. And again, we'll commit directly. So I just commit my changes. Boom shakalaka. We go to actions. It's already running, super quick, queued up. So it's going to start in a second. So I have a couple questions, if you don't mind, about actions because I'm curious.
Yeah.
So like you were talking about how like you can have multiple jobs within like a workflow and it will run. It'll run like 11 of them into the same like at the same time. Can you do because like some steps are dependent, like are jobs like things that should not be dependent? Like I noticed we can run steps within a job to get that synchronous kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, how do you manage like workflows for more complicated things where like I got to build this static site before I like push it to Fastly or something like that? Like just as a random or Netlify or wherever.
Yeah. No, yeah. If you had separate jobs, you could actually run on like things like filters. So like on success or on failure. So imagine you have two different paths that you'd like to manage. So if something fails, like go notify these 3 people through Twilio or text message or whatever the situation is. I think the best way is like checking out the docs. If you went to docs.github.com and then search for on success, it'll. Or maybe GitHub Action filters. You can actually see all the types of filters that you could leverage as well.
And so that's how you get that more like in detail kind of management of finishing particular parts of a step. Because like some things can run in parallel, but then you want all of them to finish before you continue with another certain step, like running maybe tests across like my client and server, right? And then only when those pass do I let it go to like deploy. Got it. That's awesome. Super powerful.
And it like the common use case that I use personally because I ship a lot of stuff to Netlify is Netlify technically it's not even a action. It doesn't run an action, but it runs as a check. So I could actually run and wait for Netlify to complete before I even run my next thing. So for example, my example is that I have a storybook design system to basically put all my React components into a folder, which is like if you're familiar with Storybook, that's how that sort of works. I only build that new Storybook if I've changed anything in the source or components.
That makes sense.
So if there are changes specifically in that folder, I can filter for that. But then I also wait until Netlify is completed because if the thing doesn't compile, it doesn't actually deploy a preview of Netlify for my PR,
you know something's wrong.
Then don't even bother.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's such a great use case. Yeah. like the light bulbs are going off, and all the ideas now are starting to run. So look, just in that time that we've talked, the job's already done. So we can go in, we can look at build again, which is the one job that we have like within there defined. And this time when we load it, it's uploaded again. It's went to current, so everything is good. So now if I come here, ooh, unexpected error. That's fun. Let's reload this. Gotta love unexpected errors. There we go. So we can see now that we've added nothing, but we have removed things. And so it's going to tell me right here,
Yeah.
I've removed the channel object, which means I lost all these leaf nodes along with it, and raid message and subscription message. So this is like super useful. And now I can come up here to schema, and now I have a change log, right? And so now it's telling me everything that I have removed. So this is powerful alone, but really I think the next step is we want the awesome sauce that Ian brought, which is like, I want to do a check and I want to make sure that my schema is not like broken before I actually like merge it in. I think would be like a neat one. So this, I feel like this workflow remains because I do on merge want the schema to still go, but now I want to step more than that. So I'm going to, let's open up this because this has the link to the repository. So, and again, actually, I'm going to drop this. Oh, this is so cool. So it's in the marketplace. For anyone in chat who wants to check this out, let me drop that link. Is there also GitHub Actions for Heroku? We just got asked.
GitHub Actions for Heroku. So these are all actions are all community based. So like there's no official GitHub Actions team that's building actions that integrate with other third-party providers. Like if Heroku, I don't know if Heroku actually has an action, but I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, there's an action for Heroku because like Inside Baseball, if you like baseball, part of the team that built the entire GitHub Actions actually came from Heroku. They actually worked on the same team together. Not sure how that's sort of organized or coordinated, but yeah. So this is a lot of this influence came from Heroku, former Heroku employees, but there's definitely a Heroku CLI action to do pretty cool things. I don't use Heroku pretty heavily. Like I just ship a server there, and it just sort of lives there for a long time, and I never touch it. So I'm not really up to speed with all the features of like what Heroku could do. But you could also search in the marketplace the word Heroku and see if there's any actions that leverage Heroku.
Got it.
But also Heroku does have a really good integration to GitHub. And that actually, if we zoom out a bit, like GitHub apps and like integrations versus GitHub Actions is a conversation that comes up a lot. So take a company like Netlify, who has a GitHub app, who whenever you deploy to your branch, it will deploy a version to Netlify. Like that's a GitHub app, and it makes sense to be a GitHub app. It probably doesn't make sense to be a GitHub action because Netlify is going to need more permissions to your repo, which they actually figure out, and it makes it a better experience on Netlify. But for a GitHub action, like this is a nice, like quick way to get access to GitHub's API. Like right now, we're not really leveraging a ton of GitHub API with our push to the schema. But when you start looking at things like checking different files and making sure that if this is touched, make sure you notify these 3 people based on the code owner's file, like which is all things you could do in a workflow. Like it gives you way closer interaction. So like if Netlify wanted to build another like opt-in solution to enhance the experience on the GitHub side, which like I think they probably prefer you go log into Netlify and do all that. But if they wanted to, they could build more hooks into GitHub and sort of figure out how to get people engaged there.
Got it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, that makes sense. So, and also going back to kind of what I was talking about, it seems like for this, like the Apollo schema check, it could make sense for this to be a GitHub app as well. Like you connect your repo, you push a PR, it would automatically run the checks for you. When you merge into whatever you designate as your default branch, it would then, grab that schema and push it for you based on, like some configuration essentially. But yeah, this is awesome. But I like doing it this way because this is a lot of fun. It's more fun than just connecting a repo through a UI. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I'm getting how this works. So I create a new workflow file myself. And then really the only thing that is doing, like I define, I do want it on pull requests. And then, I'll use the checkout v2, and then I can give like a new name that uses this action here. And then I get to fill in these parameters. So if I went and looked in the action code for this, like in Ian's repository, I would probably see how this works. But if my thinking is
Yeah.
correct, these are basically variables that I can now use.
Yep. Yep. Those are essentially that's what it is. With this sort of, they're like arguments, I guess, if you think of it like a JavaScript term. And then if you went to his code base, you could actually check to see that these are actual arguments that are being passed into the context object of GitHub. I actually took a look at Ian's code base, and it's written in TypeScript, so
Nice.
big win there.
Nice.
Because it's going to be sustainable. But also, he is doing a bunch of also things that I didn't understand because I don't have a lot of experience in the Apollo schema. But it's pretty approachable. So if you know a bit of JavaScript or you know how to do a bit of interactions, yeah, we should definitely take a look at that.
Okay, so I see we've got our action.yaml. So I guess we start here. This is a good place to start.
Yeah, you can start here. This is required if you want to get your action in Marketplace.
Got it.
Where this exists. But you can see these inputs.
Yep.
It gives you a little description of what they're actually doing. Looks like a lot of very specific stuff to Apollo and federated services and stuff like that. It looks like there's also some. Yeah, he's got some built-in like error messages and stuff like that. So I haven't actually run this myself, but it's quite possible if you pass in all that information that this would run pretty quickly. And the beauty of this too, as well, because this is not like a full-on product and like an app where I have to go to Netlify support. And I use Netlify because it's top of mind. Or I use Apollo. I should use Apollo instead, but because I think Apollo does have a GitHub app too as well.
They do, yeah.
Remember, do they? Okay, I'm thinking they do, but I can't remember.
I haven't connected to GitHub through Apollo Studio. I don't know if we do have an app. If we do, I don't know if that's used anymore, but that's what I want. Like at the end, I would love for this to be normal, and for people who don't want to do this and want to do it through a UI, kind of like Netlify type deploys, to be able to just.
The app would basically give you all the hooks to be able to make that happen in the UI.
Exactly.
There are ways of making it with actions, but you're just going to be rebuilding a lot of stuff that already exists. But what I was getting at, the beauty is that you can actually ping Ian and be like, hey, this is not working in my use case. And just do the normal open source way and figure out bugs together.
I love that
as well, because this is an actual repo that you can sort of
pull requests,
comb through and figure out.
You can add to it, or make changes. Or now that I know that this exists and I want people to use this all the time, like if something changes, like in the Apollo CLI or something, like I could always come here and make that change or let you know about it. This is cool.
Yeah.
So I guess index TS.
I was just going to add that Ian mentioned that his arguments are all being passed directly to the CLI.
Yeah, which makes sense.
So he's basically doing what you did, but rather than make it a giant bash script directly in a YAML file that's going to be hard to parse and not easy to test, he's created an entire repo that has TypeScript and potentially test. I haven't seen this test in here, but the testing, when it's set up this way using Actions Core and stuff like that, you can approach testing a lot easier, as opposed to like running a workflow file over and over and over again.
Yeah, this uses OctoKit, so that's why you're going to need the M token for GitHub as well, I would imagine, because it's like going to do OctoKit actions. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so let me go back to source, because I feel like this is probably the meat and potatoes of it. No, this is just to get I'm learning so much here. Is GitHub Actions. Whoa. Nice. Okay. And then I wonder, get arguments. Get arguments. This will probably be like where
that'll answer our previous
there
question.
We go. Yeah, exactly. So like here's where you get your graph and you just get input from Actions Core is a like helper package that makes it easier to work with GitHub Actions. Is that what I'm getting from this?
Yeah, it gives you. I use the word hooks all the time. I literally just gave a talk about hooks
Yeah,
recently, but in different contexts. But yeah, it gives you better hooks into GitHub's
nice.
action
That's
environment.
awesome.
So there's like the one thing that I use a lot with Actions Core is error messages and printing those back into PR. So since I already have like a structured way within Actions Core to send back error messages,
Yeah,
I can just take that error message and print it directly in the PR that it was created, which is it's a beautiful and sort of elegant way to approach
for
it.
sure. Yeah, this is like I'm learning so much. The ideas are flowing. This is so cool. All right, awesome. So I feel like we know enough. We've dug into the code enough. Sorry, Ian, to just like throw all your code out here on the stream, but it is nice. It's really awesome. We do appreciate it. So yeah, let's go back here to the README. And I feel like I can keep this open and then start adding. I mean, I could honestly copy a decent amount of this and then just kind of drop it in and make the changes I need to. All right.
Yeah, and real quick, I just wanted to point out that V1 there as well. That's actually a release number, a release tag rather. So the way to get your action on Marketplace, one, you need to have
Ah,
an action.yaml, and then two,
do
you
a
have to cut a
release.
release.
Got it. That
So
makes sense.
Ian named his release V1 for version 1. So that way you can just point to that, and you know that every time you point to version
You're
1,
gonna
it's
get
not going to
yeah,
change on you.
yeah.
This is also very important for like security reasons. You don't want to
Yep.
point to someone's random code that's not versioned and then they slip in a Bitcoin miner,
Yeah. Or
which
any kind of
go
things.
ahead and try. Our security team will figure it out pretty quickly.
Awesome.
Sorry, not a threat.
Yeah. A promise.
Yeah, promise for
Yeah.
sure.
All right. All right. So cool. So I'm going to grab this because this is a great starting point. So we're going to go back in here. Going back to back. So, all right. So let's do workflows. And then I'm going to add a new file. And we'll create a new file. And this will be schema check. And it's cool because he called his schema check and I called mine schema push. And we didn't even talk about this beforehand. It's not staged, folks. This is all real time. Real time.
Yeah, you're building a framework right
Yeah,
now.
seriously. This is going to make a lot of people's lives easier. I'll probably do a follow-up stream where I just go through this whole process and then, you know, like, or more like a video, you know, like that the full happy path where nothing bad ever happens. The polished tutorial. Cool. Yeah. So we've got schema check. That's definitely what we want to call it. On pull request, loving it. Yeah, 5 minutes. If you can't check a schema in 5 minutes, I really don't know what to tell you. I'm just gonna call this. I'm gonna change the name of
Yeah,
this.
that timeout minutes too as well. That's something new. I haven't used yet in any of my workflows. I haven't had to because my code's so
This
awesome.
just runs so fast.
But yeah, there's all these little Easter eggs in the documentation and stuff like that, which I think the team is doing a really good job. The action team at GitHub is pretty large.
Oh, cool.
So they just ship stuff pretty frequently. Yeah. It's a pretty powerful feature as well as the squad. So super pleased with what they ship. Where it's at the point where I can't keep up anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love
so
to
like
see it.
all these nuances, I just figure out whenever I ship into action.
Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I think I'll call this, well, we're checking the schema. I don't know what this name is for. Oh, I guess it's for the name of this step. What do I want to name this step?
That's the way it will. Yeah. So like before we had the multi-line run action, which was a push, we probably could have named that push now or pushing is happening or whatever it is. But it labels it inside the build logs. It'll label it for you.
Okay, cool. I'll actually say check against studio. A stanced. Yeah. Check against studio schema. Cool. And it's going to use Ian's awesome repository. Once again, thank you. Title. So this is, I don't know. I think this might actually be related to the information that I need. So hang on, let me just open this and look at schema push. That's just the graph name that shows up in the comment. Cool. Okay, so the real things here. I just wanted to check like what I don't even know what I need. Like I just Ian, do you want to trade places? I feel like you're better suited to do this than I am. All right. Okay, yeah, cool. So that's just the name that's going to show up. So let me go. Nope, nope. Where did I have my? Here it is. Okay, so yeah, so this is just what's going to show up. So this will just be same thing, really. Who cares? Check against studio schema. I can always do better with my naming later. Graph, I believe this is stream helpers, I want to say. I'll go verify that. Yep, stream helpers. Variant is current. The path is server schema.graphql. Service name. I don't think I need service name because my key will have the service in it.
Okay.
So I'm going to get rid of that. I don't know what validation period means either. Oh, for federation. Oh, service name is for federation. Is that what you're saying? That makes sense. Also something that I need to work on.
What is federation?
Yeah.
Is that schema stitching? Is that the new name for it?
No, it's actually a different pattern. So schema stitching came first, which was like very imperative and like code. Like you joined your schemas together through code. Federation is like the evolution of that, which is more declarative, where there's directives used within the different graphs, and you can validation period is how far back in history you want to look for changes. Cool. Yeah, so federation actually is you have a gateway and you point to services and give them names, and that's like kind of how it joins all together in one graph. But the key is the main difference is that you use directives within your existing schemas from the other graphs to kind of define how they should be connected. So it doesn't break like get GraphQL as like a spec, right? So it's spec compliant. And no need for extraneous code like the Apollo Gateway will take care of all of that for you. You as a developer no longer have to know the icky implementation details of joining together graphs. You just define that with keys. So you could say it's like you can extend types from other graphs. You can define what the key field is, and then it will know like how to relate and draw those relationships for the different entities. And it gets a little more into depth than that, but also that's actually starting to get at the limit of my knowledge of that. So federation is something else, that I haven't. So back in my day, it was schema stitching, so I was still using schema stitching.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was schema stitching was always painful. It kind of worked.
Very painful.
But yeah, I never spent too much time after doing like the first time successfully. It sort of moved on. But yeah, that sounds cool. I need to check out the keynote from GraphQL Summit. I definitely missed that. That
check it out. They're all up on YouTube now, and it's federation is like. Well, yeah, I mean, you learn as you go, right? And like, as these graphs grow and people's needs start to change, and you try something and it doesn't quite work, you start hitting the edges of it, and then you start thinking about the next evolution, and like already the next evolution of like federation is starting to be discussed and like figured out, like how can that be improved. It's pretty wild. Like I envision a world one day where there's just essentially one graph. I think Sean Grove is in the chat. If you're still here, let me know, because he's on to something with one graph, right? So like, everything is connected. And like when you think about those type of relationships, I could see a world where you could have, like one graph. Exactly. Multiple services tied together. You could partition off parts of the graph. Some is public, some is private. Like there's like a whole trust system as far as like, figuring out like how ownership of the graph works and stuff like that. It's a wild world out there, and we're just at the beginning of it. Like we're not even, All right, sorry. Derailment. Watch Ashi's talk from GraphQL Summit. It's called Project Constellation, and you'll see. But yeah, way ahead of his time there. Oh, there's Sean.
Excellent.
Hey, buddy.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, so we've got that. We've got our schema file. We've got our validation period. So that's good. We have our key, but I think I called this Apollo Studio key. So I just changed that to Studio.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have to add another secret. So I'm going to have to take that offline, generate a GitHub token, right? That's what that's going to look for. And then pop that in.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to go do that now. Are you, Sean? I think that might have been. I think you mean, are you the owner of OneGraph? Are you the owner of Sean Grove?
He does own that account. Yeah.
All right, so let me take this off
Excellent.
here and get this going. Hello, Ian. We just got your face up there, buddy. All right, so let me.
I think this is a stream where we mentioned libraries, and then the people who run those libraries and products, they just show up in the stream.
That's it.
So I'm gonna just say React is waiting for Dan Abramoff to show up.
Pop up
shortly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah. So when I want to generate a new key, that's under not deploy keys.
Yeah. Ian's saying that the GitHub token's already. Oh yeah. We're not creating a GitHub token. Are we creating the You're doing Apollo token right now?
No, I have the Apollo token. That secret already exists in this repo, so that should be okay. I need a GitHub token.
So you don't actually have to. So you don't have to generate a GitHub token. So this is the thing that GitHub gives you for free with all actions.
Oops.
So if you really care to know, like Actions, the GitHub Action bot that runs stuff and comments on your behalf, is technically a GitHub app. It's like an overpowered GitHub app that you opt into when you have a workflow file, and this gives you read but some write access to your repository.
Okay.
So if you want to open a PR, if you want to create a comment,
interesting.
if you want to merge a pull request, like that, all that stuff is accessible through this GitHub token.
Wow.
So you don't actually have to define it though, because GitHub's giving this to you.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool. Gosh, it just keeps getting easier. All right, so then this is it.
Yeah, and it actually, in most cases too as well, like even Ian could even update this that you don't actually have to pass in this in your workflow file. This is already accessible on Ian's side. So once you've actually run this, the GitHub token already exists in his environment, so he can just actually grab the GitHub token that way.
So, I see.
Yeah, and that was a change that happened like roughly like 6 months ago.
I see.
We didn't actually do this for free.
Yeah.
You had to do the generation stuff like that. Actually, it was probably more like 10 months ago.
Okay.
Okay. But now it's just sort of accessible and available.
So I think what is happening now, let me see if I got this right. So what he's essentially done is he's defining an environment variable of GitHub token that's set to secrets.github token, which is already included, but they've actually taken the extra step, whereas now you don't even need to do that. GitHub token is already an environment variable whenever this action runs.
Yes.
Success.
Yeah, so I would still do it this way because Ian's repo expects it this way. But if you wanted to do a PR, anybody wants to do a PR, we can actually do that on Ian's repo because it is open source.
Yeah, maybe we could do that. All right, so here we go. So let's see. All right, so I think this is it then. I think this is all we need. Looks good to me.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's commit this, but this time, because we want to run the checks, we're going to do a branch. So, and then we'll do a pull request.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to say, oh wait, this is a branch name. Oh, it's actually fixing that for me. I did never notice that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Smart. Okay.
Yeah, those GitHub engineers, they're really good at their job.
It's almost like they know what they're doing. It's,
Yeah. Almost like we use GitHub all day, every day to make GitHub run.
It's
which is
wild.
like the biggest like brain dump when you start at GitHub.
Yeah.
Is sort of figuring out that you could literally look at the code base that's powering the code base that you're looking at. It's mind blowing.
It is awesome. Nothing like eating your own dog food though, right? Like they use Apollo Studio every single day for the Apollo graph, All right, so let's do it.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's the best way.
When I started my first day at GitHub, we did the onboarding. Not everybody's an engineer that onboards, so like they have to do like beginner Git and GitHub training. So during that time, I wasn't doing any of that. I was just like looking at the GitHub repo and like looking at all the changes and the decisions and the comments, because all the PRs are closed and the issues are closed. You can just look at all that data. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
That is awesome. Boop. Well, emoji action. Create pull requests. Awesome. Okay. Oh, oops. Netlify doing its thing there. But so is schema check. And this is what is important.
Yeah.
This is very cool. Yeah, because I deploy the front end to Netlify. And then that's what I load into OBS as like a browser source. And the back end gets deployed to render.com. Right. Nothing. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Nothing's going to show up for this PR, but I am going to make a change. I saved a change, and then we will do that. Oh, I could have just committed this right to master. Yeah. Oh, geez. Let's see what this says, though. But this gives us the chance to work on this. So, strange question. Oh, for Sean Grove. I'll let you take that one, Sean. Is not available on your organization's plan. Oh, snap. I got for the first time. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to upgrade right here. We're going to do it live.
Sorry, what was the failure?
I don't have the right plan, so I need to do schema checks. I can push my schema, but to do checks like this through the CLI, I got to pay. I got to give them my money. So now,
interesting.
Settings.
That's where they get you.
Yeah, that's where they get you. They get you every time.
The Apollo team.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pay at some point. You know, you get a lot for free, but I'm trying to figure out. I don't even know where to go to do this.
You're gonna do it live.
Yeah.
Right, you pull out the credit card.
Oh, settings. Found it. Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Oh, try team for free.
Yeah, that's another thing that. Okay, excellent. Yeah. I guess they have a trial too as well. I think it was like 14 days or something.
Yep. They have a trial for free. So I currently have one member. So we're gonna try again. This should work. Okay, so let me bring this back. Pop this back up here. Just some random spot. So now that that's done, I can rerun jobs.
Yes, you certainly can.
Look at that.
And this will basically just take everything that you've already done,
just do it again,
and redo it. The caveat, if you changed, there's certain instances, like if there's environments that are cached, you'll have to just do another push,
right?
Because that cache. But I don't think we're actually caching anything, so it's fine. But yeah, it's something to think about if you do end up caching.
Oh, I see.
Things.
So if you rerun,
sure,
that cache will still exist. Is that what you're saying? Because nothing's changed.
Yeah. It'll rerun with the cache. I don't think there's no way to blow up the cache to make that.
Look at this.
Rerun without it.
It ran. Hell yeah. So let's go back.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's go back. So here we are, and we've got our good check. So I can hit details if I want. And okay. So it's going to take me here. Makes perfect sense. All right. So we're good. It's working. It's set up. So I'm just going to merge this. Confirm merge. Look at this. This is more GitHub action than I've had in like weeks. All right. So here we go. I have all the green dots for today.
Unintended.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here we go. So this is done. So let's go back to the code, and now let's make a change to the graph. Yeah, I am adding this to every repository that I have, like after the stream. This is so amazing.
Well, what's cool about this is that because it's a workflow file, and if you happen to create your projects the same way, if you wanted to create a template file, or a template repo, which is another feature in GitHub, just by going to settings and opting in the template, you can just create all your new repos based on this template.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Very similar to what you do in other things like
That's amazing.
I guess Gatsby and Next all have templates as well we can generate from.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is great because what I'm going to do is also put together and say, like, this is like the best practices. If you do this and just make sure you end up with a schema here and, like, you know, you'll be good to go. And Yeah, it's really neat because there's a lot of software you can use to generate your schema. Like a lot of people are writing their schemas in code now, and then it like with like Nexus and stuff like that. So, but it can output a schema
Interesting.
file. Yeah, but it can always output a schema file, which is cool. Yeah. Okay, so we have this. So what I wanted to remove is stream, right? Because I don't actually use this. I just use chat message. So we're going to take this, delete that, and we will create a new branch, and we'll call this remove stream type. Cool. Propose changes.
So while you're doing this, I have a question around this, the project itself
Yeah.
that's powering your overlay that we're messing with right now.
Yep.
So you're actually dynamically. So I guess I'm curious of where Apollo comes through. You're creating a schema for the overlay.
Yeah.
Are you storing that data? Or are you just passing that directly to
Netlify? So it's going directly to. So what happens is, so this is technically the one that I use for my personal stream. Like I'm not messing with the one that's powering the scenes that we have going right now.
Yeah, nothing's changing or breaking right now.
Exactly. That's a separate repo that has way more stuff because it has the entire layouts for the whole scene. Whereas for my personal one, I just use the chat widget. I just need the chat. So that's all this is powering.
Okay.
But yeah, so what happens is the backend server gets deployed to render.com. So actually I had it open in case we talked about this. So I have the worst dev stream.
Yeah, and I've never used Render before.
So
I've actually never heard of Render.
Okay, it's great. You can essentially just use, you can do databases like Postgres databases, environment variable groups, like if you just want them, like you need them globally accessed other places, and then like a service. So this is just a Apollo server spun up that just gets deployed, and inside of there, I'm connected to tmi.js, which is like the Twitch bot helper, and then I'm also using some webhooks, not so much in this one, but I am inside of the Apollo one. And then yeah, that just talks to the Netlify front end that gets deployed, and I have the URL defined as an environment variable inside of Netlify. So yeah, front end gets deployed as a static app to Netlify, the back end gets deployed to Render. They live within the same repository, and then it's just subscriptions, GraphQL subscriptions pushing to Netlify.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, awesome.
I'm actually in flight right now messing with my overlay. I've got a Gatsby overlay.
Nice.
It's not really a Gatsby overlay. It's a Gatsby site that powers the HTML that renders my overlay. I actually took the idea from you, to be quite honest.
Nice. That's awesome.
But I have not got my chat embedded yet. But yeah, I think I might start stealing some more code from your repos.
Yeah, please do. So let me go let me get this pull request going, and then we'll do we no use. Okay, well that's good. That's great. We don't use we don't use the stream type. Goodbye. Okay. All right. Create that pull request. So while this is created, and while our check is running, so what we'll do while that's running is I'll just actually I can probably just get here faster from here. If I just go to repositories, it'll probably pop up as one of the top ones that I do. Yeah. And I'll just show you the flow for like how chat works specifically. So if I open up the server, I have this graphql.js. This is where I'm defining the type defs. Here I have them in code. I move them out to a file in my own so we could do like the whole schema pushing thing, but I'm going to migrate this out now. This is all going to go into Apollo Studio now. So what I do is there's the resolvers. Let me get through to so I pull everything from here, like the streams. I pull the information out of Google Calendar, and then I use the Twitch API to get like more information about like how many people are viewing. I also pull in upcoming streams. You can see them ticking by at the bottom of the layout. All that comes out of Google Calendar. That's where I put all the streams in. But for the subscription stuff, oh, oops, this is not the right file. For the subscription stuff, all that happens in the chat bot, but this is just like the overall API. Where is that? I'm sorry, it's like been a couple days since I've been through here. Let's go to server. All right, come on, you can do it. I don't know what I did. I broke the internet. There we go. Chat.js. Probably try the file that is the name of the thing you're talking about. That's should have been number one. Yeah, here we go. So here we go. So create chat client. This is what I'm doing. So I'm using TMI, which is like a node, just like package that makes it very easy to interact with the Twitch chat. And then when I get a message, I'm using the pub sub from Apollo from like GraphQL subscriptions to send those chat messages to the client. And then what I'm doing on the client is if I go into client, and then we go into source and hooks and chat messages, I have my subscription. So I'm subscribing. And this works the same actually on the Apollo and for my personal one. I'm actually parsing the emotes. So that's how the emotes are showing up on the stream right now. But the real meat and potatoes is this little bit right here. So I am subscribing to the subscription for chat messages. I'm pushing them onto a array, and then I am returning those messages. And then I just in the UI have them popping in. They get a nice little animation with framer motion, and it's all hunky dory. And then I have them in components. And so if we look at chat, we can see that it's a unordered list.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I animate presence. Framer motion makes this very easy. I just map over the chat messages. So as they come in, and I have it like set to flex column reverse, so they come in at the bottom and everything pushes up, and that's kind of how I get like that flow. It's really nice, but it's just React. It's just code. And the best part is, if y'all want to see the scene that we're actually portraying right now that lives in scenes, missionbriefing.js. And this file is powering like 90% of what you're seeing on screen, not the desktop or our video audio. That's OBS specific. So what I've done is I made that like bottom bar. That's where all the stuff happens. I leave the top kind of like this canvas, and then that's how I can lay out whatever I want. I started doing panels, and so I needed like a layout that was very flexible. So now the top with the white and little Apollo logos is my blank canvas. I can put whatever I want there. It's really nice. And it works great. And that's like the gist of it. It's just some sloppy React. I mean, don't come in here if you want to see anything nice, but it should be, should be able to dig through it and definitely figure out what's going on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. You just unveiled all your secret sauce.
Yep.
I'm definitely in progress to make something very similar. At the moment, I'm hard coding in titles right now.
Yeah.
But my hope is to start dynamically rendering those and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's a pain trying to figure out the Twitch interface and figure out how to change my title.
It is.
Right before I go on stream.
It is frustrating. Super frustrating. Yeah. So actually, I need to fix that. They changed the way you like OAuth and get tokens for the API. But I also have a Zapier hook that will read from Google Calendar and then like an hour before a stream starts, pull in the title of the stream and then update it with the Twitch API. So like the goal is to automate all of this so that when it's like time to stream, the only thing I have to do is like get on the call with you and get everything set up. Like everything else is dynamic, so I don't have to remember to do it. I'm starting to automate the promotion of the tweets and stuff like that because I found that was a majority of my time was being eaten up, and I like didn't really have time left for deep work. If I'm doing 3 to 5 streams a week, trying to remember to tweet about it 2 days before, a day before, 2 hours before for each one of those becomes very overwhelming. So yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah. So now we can see that our schema check has passed, but let's go take a look at the details. So run checks against the studio. And so we can see that we've validated, we've compared the changes, but there's no breaking changes. And so that is what I want to know. So like if there were breaking changes, like if I go in and actually remove something that's used, like is what I should do. Let's go change the code and break it. So if I go to the code.
Yeah, like you able to change a name type or something?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So I go here and then how do I change the file and add it to a PR through, I've never done this.
Oh, so you can actually just go to your branch. So just click on code.
Oh, oops. Oh, right.
That'll only just copy the branch.
Oh, there we go.
Actually, no. Actually, it does do it.
Yeah, it worked.
So yeah, you're on the branch.
There we go.
I forgot we changed this. That was like a wanted feature for the longest time. Click the branch and then open the code in the branch.
Perfect. So now what I can do is I can add something to my type def, but not add the resolver for it. And I think that will break it. Or change. I don't even know how to break this. Oh yeah, well I would need a schema that does not compile. That's what I would need. I need to add a type that like doesn't exist. That's what I need to do. So not GraphQL JS. Okay. I need to go rename a type that I use exactly. Yeah, so I need to go here. This is where I was getting at. Right. So if I break this, I'm going to change this to like chat messages, which is like a legit thing somebody might do. So this is going to become messages. And now
common mistake.
Yep. Update name of type, and we will commit directly to this. We'll commit those changes, and because we specified in the workflow that like on sync, like update of PRs, it's going to run again. So if I go back to the pull request, we can see that we've got our yellow dot, and it's going to run. Yeah, I feel like we learned so much today. This is good. I'm having so much fun. This is amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to see
I feel like I learned a lot about Apollo as well.
Awesome. That's good. Yeah. I feel like I'm basically like a GitHub Actions wizard now. So you're a wizard, Harry. I can't wait to share this with everyone at Apollo. They're going to love it. Boom. And it failed. And it failed. Look at that, folks. So it's failing. It's broken. It's like, hey, dummy.
Never seen someone
excited
about failures.
So, my moniker is the worst dev. Like when you set the bar real low, you can only go up. And if you get excited about things that break instead of being bothered by them, then, your life just gets a lot easier. So we can see here that it's telling me that error running Apollo CLI. And so this is going to say schema. Where's like the actual thing? Unknown type, chat messages. Boom. So that failed. It's bad. Do not merge it. And you could get...
Yeah, and one trick about having, like, it's quite possible you probably want to link this in the issue or something like that. You can actually click the number, and it'll actually, similar to how GitHub will store line numbers, if you click the number in your URL.
Oh, look at that.
You can actually copy that and share that. So you can see in your run ID is up there.
That's amazing.
The step, and then the line number 15.
That is awesome. That's amazing because I use the line number feature in like GitHub code like constantly. That's like my go-to. This is cool.
Yeah, and it's also possible if you wanted to scroll up, there's like these 3 dots. I think that's a new hamburger menu these
here
days.
We go. Yeah, I call it the meatball menu.
The meatball menu, yeah. I mean, but you can actually download the archive. You can show timestamps.
This is cool. Yeah.
And raw logs as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
But I don't know. I might use that meatball menu in the. I'll cite you in the future.
Nice.
I'm sure designers will love me for that.
Oh, absolutely. They're gonna love you as much as they love it being called a hamburger menu. Have you ever seen like the one where it's like an actual hamburger? It's just like they just made it a hamburger.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but that's excellent.
Yeah, I think it's like a React package, like a component you can just install and use, and it's a hamburger menu that's an actual hamburger. Ugh. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is broken. Let's go fix it because I actually want it gone. Oh, but I did it again. Oh, that's fine. I can just go right here like you were saying. Thank you, Dependabot. Actually, which is like good. Ooh, that reminds me. I saw an action for that. So like I'm going to maybe I'll do that on my own, or maybe it exists, but like we'll check to see if it breaks anything, like running npm install with the updated things. And then if not, you can just merge the PR through a GitHub action. Somebody was talking about this the other day.
So I have one of these. It is in my open source repo. There's an auto merge workflow. It actually merges Dependabot PRs, and I check to see if they succeed on Netlify because it's a front end app. So if it succeeds, it compiles and it has a Netlify URL.
Yeah.
I assume it's going to work because my test also passed before I could deploy that. So that's how I sort of operate.
Yeah.
But everybody's got their own secret sauce.
Yeah. 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 So actually, Ian brought up a good point, which is like, this didn't get to the CLI check step because when it tried to pull in the schema, it had a broken type. So I'm like trying to figure out how to test against the schema validation from Apollo. But if I'm being honest, I really just don't like know what it would take to back and then make an optional field required. I think that will do it. Ah, so like change color to required, right? Because previously it was optional, which means that will actually break for people. Thank you. That's a good call. Let's try that. YOLO. Got a couple of minutes. Are you good? Am I holding you up, by the way? Because we're only technically scheduled for an hour and a half. Okay.
No, I'm good. I'm actually literally going to stream right after this. So.
That's awesome. I'm going to come hang out with you.
No worries.
Okay, cool. All right. So, yeah, so we're good. Okay, so we'll fix that. We've now made something required. Let's try this. I'm just going to go with, commit to changes. Don't really need a name. And so now we can see what happens with our schema check. I'm very curious to know. I'm just going to go into the details now. What are you streaming about today?
So I have been working on a swag shop using Stripe.
Nice.
And so I got some stickers. And well, I don't have stickers yet, but I'm hoping to have some stickers for OpenSauce.
Yeah.
And it's built on Next.js.
Cool.
And right now I need to figure out how to make it a function so I don't have to pay money every month.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's where I'm going to explore.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, so this passed our check, but yeah, no, it's not considering that a breaking change. Maybe if I remove a required field. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't really know how to break a schema. That's a problem.
You truly are not the worst dev, apparently.
I can't break it when I try. I wonder what would consider this a breaking type. Maybe making this not required, or adding or changing the return type. Queries that I've made in the past, and I'm not changing any of that. Right. Oh, and you know what? I just added this, so there's really no data for it to look at because I haven't been querying for a lot of data. So I don't think I'm really actually going to be able to get to a point where Apollo Studio is going to recognize that. Yeah, so this isn't going to break anything, but that's fine. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So I do just want to fix that and make that not required because that will actually break my app. So let me just fix that and then we'll be done. This is like excellent. This is.
But it's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say this is the Ian's action that we've been sort of kicking around. It seems like a good action to have as part of your.
Yes.
Like I know I'm going to have a server. I'm going to leverage Studio. I have a paid account, which we discovered. It's probably good to include this just in general.
Absolutely.
And your PR, so that way in the future everybody wins and no one on the team gets upset when someone breaks a schema.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And I think that how's the chat on video faster than the Twitch stream? I don't know. It's just That's actually really funny though.
It's because it's run by Apollo.
Yeah, that's why. That's amazing. Okay, so color was not required. Let me fix that. Yeah, Sean, I think like I could, if we had a couple of minutes, just run a couple of queries. The problem is like I only have this one subscription type, so I'd have to like make some query, make a type, run a couple of them. Who knows how many? Keep going back to test it until it was done. And like honestly, we've been here for an hour and 40 minutes, and I know that Brian's waiting to stream. And I'm running out of time, so I don't think we'll get to that today, but that's how it would work, right? Like if you had queries and they were being run, Apollo Studio is going to track and let you know, like, hey, you're about to change something and make it required that was optional. This could break all your clients. And actually, you can name clients. It can tell you exactly what app using your API it's going to break for. Like this is going to break mobile, or this is going to break web, or whatever. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, so I fixed this, and then I'm going to commit that, and then I'm just going to merge this because this works. Ian, you are amazing. Thank you so much for this check, because I cannot wait to share it with the world. And also, we do another stream called Orbit on Mondays, 12 p.m. Eastern, every week, where we talk about what's new with GraphQL. I'm also going to be talking about this action on Monday as well, because I think a lot of people are going to want to know. So thank you again. And also, P. Kellner, thank you for the follow. I know it was like 20 minutes ago. I was going to say thank you then, but I totally forgot and got wrapped up in action land. And here we are. Now I'm saying it. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, we'll just wait for this to finish. And then, let's see. Is there anything else? PST time would be 9 a.m. It'd be 9 a.m., I believe. That's PDT. I don't know if PDT and PST are the same or not.
I think we're still in the S.
Okay. Oh.
D is starts in a month-ish.
Oh, that's right.
Or October.
That's right. Okay. So yeah, so PST it would be there. Okay, so my schema check is passed, my deploy preview is passed, all the rest is done. Merge the pull request, confirm the merge, and we're done. That's a wrap. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Brian, do you have anything else you want to share with everyone before we say our goodbyes?
Yeah, I would say that I am doing some short action videos called Get Action Traction.
Hell yeah.
I just shipped one this morning
Did you?
On YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah, so I didn't actually get a chance to tweet it yet.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out a promotion video clip.
Nice.
Which I'll probably ship a tweet tonight. But yeah, basically these are like bite-sized versions, bite-sized content for action.
Hell yeah.
So if there are a lot of questions in the chat, if you go to bducky/getactiontraction on GitHub, I do have a repo that powers all this. So open an issue if you have a question.
The repo is bduggy. I got this.
Yep.
And then action traction.
Get action traction, but also no yo.
Oh, that's right. bduggy.
So that was
get action traction with all dashes like this.
Yep.
Love it.
All one word.
Oh, cool. Okay. Get action traction. If I could spell, we'd already be there. There we go. Love it. Shaboop.
Here we are. Yeah. So I've got a couple videos on YouTube. I think 3 at this point, and I'm hoping to do like 2 a week. So I'm just figuring out the framework now.
I love this. I'm a big fan of like 8-bit style art and graphics, so I'm digging this. That's amazing. Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I want to lean into that.
Yeah, lean hard.
But yeah, I haven't really explored
Yeah,
it.
lean real hard into it. It's awesome. That's so cool. Awesome. Yeah, I guess from my side, the only thing that I really want to call attention to is, like I said, Orbit. The upcoming streams have been passing by, but if you want to follow our calendar, I'm going to drop a link, and I'm actually adding chat like commands for all of this stuff right now. I don't have them yet, but we have a Google Calendar, so you can just subscribe and boom, you'll be up to date on all of our upcoming streams. That, and give Apollo Studio a try, give GitHub Actions a try. We would love to know how you feel about it. Both of our Twitter handles are right there below the title of the stream. So feel free to reach out to us, give us a follow if you want to stay in the know. And I think with that, I think we're good here, right? I'm feeling good. I feel like this is a good place to wrap it.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
I can't wait to clone all these repos and make it all my own.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I love open source. All right, so with that, we'll give you all that final goodbye. We'll see you all later. Later.
See you.